All right, hello and welcome to another Expert Insight interview. My name is John Golden from Sales Pop, online sales magazine and Pipeliner CRM, joining you as usual from sunny San Diego. And today I am delighted to be joined by Linda Deir, who is in probably an even sunnier Phoenix right now, Phoenix, Arizona. How are you doing, Linda?
At least a little warmer. I'm doing great, John. Nice to be with you.
Yeah, and Linda is an international award-winning author, speaker, coach, and trainer. You wrote and published, guided a riveting treatment to survival in the face of insurmountable odds by overcoming fear. And so your bio says you came into the world unwanted, unloved, and abused, feeling you had no value. Focused and then you focused inwards, following your guidance to make sense of the bullying, the message your dreams revealed, and the wisdom that came through your journal writings. And um, and so you're on your journey ever since the publication of your book Guided. You've been on a journey of self-directed counseling, service of spiritual awakening, unexpected psychology, free to everyone. 8 years in the making. The Guided Journey offers parents, coaches, counselors, teachers, professors, friends, and families self-help strategies found nowhere else. And by the way, I have to say, I love the quote from Grady Harp, Hall of Fame top 100 reviewer of your book. Says, Linda's perspective on the current direction of the world, the planet, and our dumbing down and increasing ignorance of our society, a situation she verbalizes well and follows that with a cautionary plea to tune into our guides to get us through this increasingly mad merry-go-round that is life. And I just thought that was such a powerful statement about what you do. And what I wanted to talk about today is you talk a lot about why, and the why, and why you do what you do, why any of us do what we do. But this idea of the why, and I've talked to many people about it, and I think that's one of the things that I feel that's fundamentally missing from people. I think that's where a lot of frustration stuff comes from, is not knowing your why. But I think you have a little bit of a different take on why, and that's why I want to turn it over to you and you explain your concept of why.
Great, John. I'm happy to do that. My why uh, is guided driven. Okay. What I mean by that is I'm my whole life and all the opportunities and the successes I've had throughout my life have been the result of guidance. I mean, guidance from my higher self, guidance from my spirit guides, guidance from on the front cover of my book. In fact, I'll pull it out right here and show them what it looks like. This will explain it a little bit better. The front cover of my book, you'll see this is a photograph I took. And that's a photograph. It's a photograph of my spirit guide. I call a spirit guide angel that really is a light being. I took this photograph in 1994 at Christmas time when they showed up in the living room, and I had an icon in hand. 1994 was film days, and
Oh,
I took the photograph. When I took this photograph, I uh, I said to everyone in the room, I said, "Did you guys see that?" And they said, like they always do, "See what?"
mm-hmm.
People are disconnected. People, they're running, their energy's just running on low, okay? Because they're not awake, okay? That's really what it is. And none of these kind of people that they're just not awake. They're not aware. They're not, they're not tuning in. They don't pay attention to what they need to attend to when something shows up, like guidance, like intuition, like something that happens that you can't explain, that is right there, making your life, intending to make your life easier. And people are in so much of a hurry, or they're so distracted, or they're so um, programmed by just the limitations of being in this world, this small
Mm-hmm.
place, that
Yeah.
they're not open to the possibilities of why these things happen. Why, or did I really see that, and all the doubt that follows it. Okay. So my why, my whole life, I've seen these spirit guides since I was a baby, from the first time my mom tried to
Mm-hmm.
kill me at 20 months old. It was a radical time. When they showed up on the front cover of my book, they showed up in numbers all around me. And they reminded me of who I was in that moment. 20 months old, I had no reasoning,
Yeah.
but I knew if I had something that I connected with at 20 months old, all of us, when we're babies, You don't know anything. I mean, you don't understand things, and you can't reason with adults, but you know things, and you don't know why you know them, and you don't question why you know them like you do when you're an adult.
Hmm.
Okay. So what happens, this why thing, people think the why thing is still something that you go out and you go out and you want to get ahead. You want to know what your why is so you can have all this money and you can do all this stuff. I'm not saying money's not okay. Money's fine. It's how we connect with money that's off, that's not balanced,
Hmm.
is what I want to say. And the why in my life, I'm not driven by any of that because that will deceive you. If you're chasing money, see, you can't take this stuff with you when you leave. You only take who you became before you got here.
Hmm.
You take what you learned before you got here. You came here to learn things and do things that mattered in this world. Everyone's why is really embedded in that. If
Hmm.
only they would stop long enough and stop panicking about this life and what are they going to do? And I got to find my why and I've got to get my life right and I got to make it. And I've got to, they've got all this pressure on them and they miss the whole point in being here. And I got to make all this money. So when you leave this world, what do you leave with?
Yeah.
You know,
Just lead with
hopefully
your spirit.
hopefully you don't leave with your why unanswered. That's my
Hmm.
point. And so what I do is I help people with that and their why, their real why, their soul driven why. That's a why that will pay off. That's a why that cannot miss.
Mhm.
So,
So, just wanted to ask you is that because we live in this really, as it's just a really strange world today, where everything that you're saying, right, the world is set up against that, right? It's almost like we're distracted all the time. We've got our phones, they're buzzing us all the time. We do everything we can not to spend any time in our own heads. We prefer watching, I don't know, panda TikToks on rather than actually. So we're always distracting ourselves, and I feel like we're getting so far away from actually understanding ourselves, if you like, and allowing all of this distraction just to and again, as you said, it makes us kind of uneasy and frustrated and exhausted, I think.
well, our minds are working against us.
Hmm.
That's what's going on. The world, its mind, the mind of each person largely is working against them because they're unconscious of why they're here. Okay. In the end, when you get down to the bottom line, everybody wants to know, why am I here? What's the
Hmm.
reason for me to be here? Why should I care? I mean, a lot of people, that's where a lot of people are right now. They're finally getting to the point, and that's a good thing, where they're on the brink of being truly conscious.
So how does somebody get to that point of being truly conscious and being able then to go on sort of a similar journey to find their why? And also, just a follow-up question as well is that do s- do spirit you have spirit guides? Does everybody have spirit guides? Can people or do they only manifest to certain people?
No, everyone, in fact, you wouldn't even have come here had you not brought your team of spirit guides along with you to point you in the right direction throughout your life. Okay, so there's two things going on. You need to align with this. You need to connect with that. Okay, you need to learn about what that is. This is what I teach people. I teach people to remember. See, it's not something that's foreign to anybody. Once I start working with people in the training, in the coaching, they and in the guided journey on the top of every page and post of my website is there's at the top it says guided journey, start here. The guided journey took me 8 years to build out along with my
Hmm.
guides. This was a co-creation project with them. And it is designed to make you conscious and aware of your soul driven why, not just some flitty little why, this sounds good for now. This will work. And this sounds pretty good. This will make me money. Okay. No, this goes much deeper than that. And it will make you money, but it's not by chasing the money that you'll make it.
So tell me a little bit more. So when you say, your guides, how do you start to actually uncover and listen to their wisdom? Because I do agree with you. Because if anybody looks back on their journey through life, because sometimes people will say, "Oh, I regret doing that," and I would say, "Well, yeah, but look where you went from there. So was it
Right.
a mistake or was it just part of the journey?"
Absolutely right, John. That is a bullseye. That's the whole point. The way people uh, have you know, put the concept of living their life together, what it means and what they need to do to make it work for them is totally wrong. It's what
Mm,
they've been, and the only reason they think like that is that's the way they were taught. That's
yeah.
what's wrong with it. Okay, so everyone has spirit guides and angels, guardian angels, and others. I mean, I have light beings and all kinds of visitors that are beyond this world. Okay, that because I'm not afraid. See, the guides are really, really careful not to scare you. Because what's the
Mm,
point? If they scare you, if they show up and they scare you, then they really can't reach you then. So here's my answer to your question. How do you get connected to this guidance? How do you really understand what this is? And it really, the secret to it is they point you in a direction that causes you to understand yourself first. So once
mhm,
you understand yourself, the connection to your guidance is a byproduct of that. You don't go looking for your guides. You start to understand who you are. You're the one that has a broken connection to this guidance. Okay. And my answer to that is for people to get on the guided journey, top of every page and post on my website. Guided journeys start here. Once people get on the guided journey and they start to, it's a self-directed counseling service that they move themselves through. It's not something that's imposed on them or preached to them. And it's not a religion, and it's not a cult, or
mhm.
it's not any of those things. It's just it's a process that takes you through what feels right to you. You find yourself on those different those different pages or posts that I've done, and you'll see where the guides are talking to you. It's all in italics. It's channeled information that I do. That it's where the wisdom comes through, the higher knowledge, the higher intelligence. These guides, that the light beings that I'm connected to, that speak to humanity on the level that they are right now, so they can begin to go, oh, I understand. I'm getting it. I remember that about myself. I'm catching it. And it's just one little aha after another. And as they move through this process, what it is, there's at the top is just three little bullets about what this insight's going to be about. Then below it is the video that I do. I do a little video that explains each one of these insights. And then below that is the actual guided uh, channeling that I did from the guides, their words, exact words on how they explain what that topic is about. And then their call to action underneath, three bullets, call to action, what you need to do to perform on it. And then my final words, which is how it works from me at the bottom,
Right.
I sum the whole thing up so people can really digest it. Okay. This guided journey, it took me 8 years to build this out with the guides. This is so intense, yet it's really, really easy to understand.
Yeah, I think that's the fascinating thing about the area that you're talking about is that it is accessible to everybody. I mean, this is one of the things, right? It's you don't need status, money, wherever. All of this is accessible. The knowledge, the wisdom, and everything that's coming to you is accessible to everybody, and the spirit inside you is accessible to everybody. But I think people sometimes don't think that because, as you in your early life, I think people just think, well, I am what I am and I don't have that great self-esteem anyway. I don't really deserve things. And I think they think it's inaccessible to them, that the
I know.
happiness, the guidance, the
You,
wisdom.
and really, John, where that really comes from is it's programming.
Hmm.
I mean, whether you went to to your clergy or wherever you went to, you were not supposed to talk about those things. You were not supposed to delve into those things. There was, and then Hollywood. freaked everyone out. Okay, with all this nonsense and this fear and all this kind of stuff and all these bad things that can happen, which is totally not true. I, in my life, have never had a bad experience with the spirit guides. But I'll tell you where I've had a bad experience with the
With
people, with the people on this planet. Okay.
yeah,
That,
yeah,
that's where, I mean, I'm serious about that. I hear people talk about, something happened and it scared them and they didn't, that's just their a wild imagination running away with them. Because I'm
yeah.
telling you, I have never worked with anybody like that. I have never experienced anything like that. I have only experienced absolute clarity and intelligence, and where the guides really hear what you're dealing with, what you need help with, what's really important. Even when you can't see it, they can see it.
Mm. So is that like you when you've got a big decision to make and you're mulling over all these things and you're going back and forth and you can't make the decision, and then suddenly the decision comes to you and you feel really calm about it, and and you don't really notice where did it cross over from all the like angst and confusion into being calm about this decision.
Okay, I love that question, and here's why I love that question. Because that came up so much for people after I wrote Guided. I've got to grab this. It came up so much for people. I wrote the companion journal to Guided. This is called My Guided Journey, and it breaks right into what you just said. This
Mm.
is where you learn to uh, discern between what's coming from your ego versus
Mhm.
what's coming through you from the guidance.
Right.
That's what this teaches, and I teach people how to use this.
So how could you so part of that then, how can you differentiate between, your ego and guidance? Because let's face it, we've all got our egos go up and down, right? Sometimes they're really small and sometimes they're huge.
I have a great answer to that. And it's and usually this is the thing that hangs people up the most. Your ego will always tell you what you want to hear.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's a
Your
good point.
ego your ego wants to protect you and wants to see that you have everything that you desire. Your
Mm,
guides, they tell you the truth. And you don't always hear what you want to hear, because the truth is the truth. Okay? Here's the truth. This is what you need to know right now. This is the most important thing for you to know right now. And that's what they tell you. Now, when you get that information, you go, oh, I can't be bothered with that. I don't have time to be spiritual.
mm,
Um, oh, it's inconvenient. I'd have to just stop doing this so I could do that. And I just don't feel like it.
mm.
And that's
And
that's the common denominator. That's what mostly happens.
yeah, because like I said at the outset, I mean, we live in this world where we're so distracted, and we fall into that now where we're, as you said, I mean, I people tell me all the time, they say, "Oh, I'm busier than I've ever been in my life," and I say to you, "Are you though, or are you more distracted than you've ever been in your life?" And once they think about it, they go, "Yeah, it's really distraction." And I guess that's the big challenge now, is to push aside the
Oh,
distractions and start to, as I said, focus a little bit inward, not like exclusively, but obviously you have to understand yourself.
yeah. You know what I do, what I teach, John, is I teach people to sit with their
Mhm.
guides. Sit with your guides. I did a meditation video on this. It's only about 6 minutes long, and they follow it, and they get their journal out, and they spend 15 minutes a day in part three, the last part, where they just do the journal entries. Okay. Part two is about going back into your life to find out what you flushed out in your journal writing once you start to see the patterns, and go back to part two and see where this all began. Because
Mm,
until you figure out where that little irritation, that nonsense is coming from, that, I mean, you even know it, whatever it is, you even know it's ridiculous. Why do you feel like that? You're an adult. Why do you feel like that? That's ridiculous. Okay. That insecurity, that fear, that fear of asking for help. I mean,
mhm,
the things that have controlled us from a core level has really caused a lot of uh, mental illness in the world.
mhm.
It really
Well,
has.
Well, as I think is that we've become, we celebrate stress. We become addicted to stress. We don't feel like we are being productive unless we're highly stressed.
Oh,
And obviously, you need a little bit of like stress and motivation to move forward and all of that. But I think that has become the almost the drug of choice for a lot of people is that we're addicted to stress and we don't know how to get out of it.
yeah. And it's working. It's your mind is working against you when you do that.
Mhm.
And that's it. Your mind, you're not in control of your mind. Your mind is controlling you.
Yeah, and it's that's such a fascinating concept because most people would think, well, my mind does control me, surely. But as we've known through everything from what you're talking about to neuroscience, say no, actually you can rewire, you can change your brain patterns, you can change your perspective on things. And I guess from what you're saying is, and if you cut out the noise, then you can actually listen to the advice that's coming from the people who actually want to help you.
That's that 15 minutes every day. See, the
Mhm.
key, you have to invest. You must dedicate yourself. And here's what I tell people before you go to bed, before you go to sleep at night, get your journal out, open it up. It seems too easy. That's why people don't
Mhm.
do it. You open
Mhm.
it up and you write down what was unusual and out of the ordinary that day that caught your attention. That's consciousness that caught your
Mm.
attention, that didn't pass you by. Okay. And you might have just wrote down a few keywords throughout the day because you didn't have time to sit down and write it down. But bring those keywords to your 15 minutes before you go to bed with your journal and contemplate those and then start writing out what that was. What that was. You will not become conscious until you can start to see. You can write it down, look back at what you wrote down a day later, a week later, review what you wrote. And when you do that, you're going to see what you wrote. You're going to have all kinds of awarenesses. The next question on this, after you write it down, after you go back and review it, is to write down how what you wrote down, how it felt.
Mm.
In how it felt, that is the key. Once you really flesh out the details, the consciousness resides in the details. So when you really take the time to flesh out how it felt, that's the details. When you know you've done a really good job of writing out how it felt, the next thing that's going to happen is you're going to have a realization. You're going to know something you didn't know before you did this.
Mm.
And once you know what that is, you have that realization where you just know it. You're going to know what action to take. It will be obvious to you.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that's so powerful. And as I said, I mean, this is so accessible, right? And
Oh,
the
yeah.
work that you have done to make it so accessible to people. And I think that I think we're at an inflection point in the world, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I think there's a lot of people who want to. I think they want enlightenment. I think they want to. I think there's a lot of people who are sick of like the craziness and as like I said, but when I read that review of your book, then just the dumbing down of the world. Like we deserve to use our brains much more. We deserve to be, or we should be greater than what we are right now, and we should not be allowing ourselves to be dumbed down.
We can do better.
Yes. You put it so much better, so much more succinctly and concisely than I did. But that's
But you
exactly,
but
we
you
can
get
do
it,
better.
John. You
Yep.
get it here. See, we get it here, and that's messed everything up. Okay, you gotta think, but we gotta get it here. This is where we're missing it.
Yeah. And this is why, people are having all those, health problems and stuff too. It's
And
all
and
connected.
and your why, the why question that you started with, when you access this, your heart energy, the truth and love are the same thing. That's where the guides always tell me truth and love are the same thing. The heart, it comes from the heart. It comes from here, not from here. This will mess you up.
Wow. So truth and love are the same thing. That's what a phenomenal way to end this interview. Such a powerful statement. Listen, all of Linda's information is going to be below this video. But before we go, please do tell people a little bit more about you and what you do.
Well, I'm an author. First of all, I've written 5 books, and they're all directed toward the same cause, to help you find your way in this world in a way that matters. The reason you came here. Everything else is just, you can play in this sandbox and do this for a while and this other thing. It's all fun. If you read my book Guided, I've done all that stuff. It's fun. I love it. Okay. But without this by itself, this will mess you up if you're not if you haven't brought these two things together. Okay. I say over here is the world you came from before you got here. That's where your guides are. They are the ones who followed you here to see you through this life in the productive way, remembering why you came here, because they didn't get the amnesia. You did. Okay. And
Mm.
then bringing it into this world that feels so confining, makes you feel so small sometimes. You don't know how to handle all this. Okay. Because it really goes against the person who first came here, because this
Mhm.
world wants you to conform. And the person who came here is a free spirit. It knows, this thinks, this knows. So once we
Right.
bring these two together, you have a combination. I have chills all over me as I say this to you. This combination can't be beat. Can't be beat. But you have to do that journal writing at night, 15 minutes every night. It's your special time. You get your tea, whatever, your glass of wine. I don't care what you get. Okay. And you just sit there, and it's your time with something greater than you. Forget about calling them guides. Something bigger than you.
Mhm.
Okay. Why you're here, your why. And you sit down, and you investigate who this is. And that's how you get to why you're here from this point of view.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, listen, thank you so much. And for those of you out there who don't think you have 15 minutes,
Well,
I would check on how long do you spend on Instagram? How long do you spend on these other things? And I guarantee you're going to find that you spend a lot more time on those things. So 15 minutes isn't that long time? So there's no excuse. That's basically what I'm saying, Linda. There's no excuse, is there?
I know. But it comes from just taking the time. I will say within 1 month of doing this, just 1 month of 15 minutes a night, you're going to be hooked. You're going
Mm.
to want to do this, and you will spend more than 15 minutes a night, because what you're going to learn about yourself is amazing. It's like nothing you've ever experienced before.
Yeah, that's fantastic. But listen, thanks again, Linda. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
watching and listening. I'll see you all again soon.